About once a week, there will be a really special time for the tank because that's usually when I feed the tank and that's when I shut off all the flow. I got food mixed up here, but usually during this period of time, I will just kind of go in and enjoy the tank because everything just kind of get a different feel when they're no longer in motion. For example, look at the Goniporas. And this is also the perfect time to kind of go up top and see from the top how the tank looks without the surface agitation. Look at this. And usually if I want to have this clearer view, I would need the top-down viewer, which kind of push me under the water surface and cannot really look at it from higher up like what I'm doing right now. Here, we'll go even higher above the light fixture. It offers a better perspective of how much the corals have grown in this 1 year. Especially the SPS. One view from the top is totally a different vibe. Looking from the top versus just looking from the side here. Here's a side view. Especially the Miyagi Tort back there, or the electric Miyagi Tort I think it's called. If you look from the top, totally different, huh? Here is actually a good view of the Colorado sunburst anemone I got from Thirsty Reef. It was a tiny little thing back then, well not tiny, it's a small thing back then that was down there. It slowly made its way to the back wall, climbed all the way to the top, stay around this area for a very, very long time, and it recently went all the way to the top. I guess it really wants to capture as much light as possible. This guy's been growing really well. It's in the, I guess, orange/red phase. It also has a yellow or gold phase for Colorado sunburst anemone. Anyways, I just really enjoy the no flow. It's a perfect chance to take some photos too. Maybe I'll do a video on how I take photos and videos later on. But for photos, if you really want to go into it, you shut the flow so that there's no motion blur. And then you just snap some photo that way. The fish are confused. Well, actually no, they know food is coming. That's why they're out. All right, without further ado, let me go ahead and feed them. Today we're going to talk about budget alternatives to certain consumable medias that we use in the reef tank. And we're going to kick it off with the very popular Kalkwassers. I have been using the BLS Kalkwasser Farmer Grade, 4 pounds. This run 30, I think it's like $31 or $32 regularly, but sometimes it goes on sale for 27, and this is for 4 pounds. And I have been using this, no issue at all, love it. However, because of the increase in price, it used to be a little bit cheaper, it went up in price now, got me thinking to maybe switch. And that's when my Reef Sensei Telegram recommended this, the Mississippi line. Now before this, I have heard of this brand. This is not a aquarium brand at all. This is actually for food. In fact, if you look here, it's actually food grade, which is important. We'll get back to this a little bit later. I've heard of people using this brand as well as, I think it's called Miss Wage. I have the proper spelling down here as well. And the other version is easier to get from like supermarket and stuff like that. It's off the shelf. This one is a little bit harder to find, especially in larger volume like this. Now, the big reason I'm switching over to this is because I am going through Kalkwasser like no tomorrow, and the cost adds up. And for 50 pounds, this from the website, it costs $30-some. Now, before you get too excited, shipping is $70. So when you add it all up, it's about $100 or so shipped. Compared to $32 for 4 pounds, this is still a significant amount of saving. With a budget product like this, that's not geared towards aquarium. The obvious next question is this safe to use in my tank, especially given this is a super low cost? Great question. So I've done a lot of research on this, online of course. I do also remember that back in the days when I was looking to dosing Kalkwasser, the name of Mississippi lime came up quite often, as well as the Miss Wage. I have not came across any bad things that happened from dosing this version, and 2 things that really gave me confidence in using this and switching over is that, number 1, Randy, the chemist on Reef to Reef forum that's really popular in terms of like kind of leading the charge in terms of like chemicals and stuff like that, said that as long as this is food grade, it should be okay. And right here, of course, we see food grades. The second reason is that BLS TV actually did a little study in comparison between different Kalkwassers. And one of the things that Ryan mentioned is that usually the way that people dose Kalkwasser is separating liquids and the I guess the small solid stuff that sinks to the bottom. People dose the liquid, right? And a lot of the impurities or red is actually in the solid stuff that people tend to not dose. So even if there's impurity, it's sink to the bottom, you're not dosing it, so for the most part it should be relatively safe. So given that, that's the method that I'm dosing, and seeing that Jim, even when he dosed everything, including all those solid into the tank as a slurry, has no issue after 1 year, that just be like, all right, Dad, on top of all those past years of reefers using the same brand with no issue, and that this is food grade, well, let's give it a try. I feel pretty confident going in. But again, I do need to give a disclaimer that I do not have experience using this particular Kalkwasser in my tank. So your mileage may vary, do your own research, and if you want to do this, know that there is always a risk. If you're unsure, I do like the DLS Kalkwasser. I have been using this for a year and a half now, have really great results. The only thing is that the cost went up a little bit, so I started looking for alternative. That's the only reason I am switching. Otherwise, I like this one, and I most likely would have stuck with this. It's just that 50 pounds for 100 bucks, hard to pass up. So with that said, this is not going to be a it cannot stay in this paper bag. That's dangerous. So I got some of these really nice buckets from Reef Sensei Jim back during his pharmaceutical days, and we're just gonna load them up into a bucket so that we can keep them airtight and ready to go. Well, a really smart man, Luca, you may know him as the creator of the Quantum Bar, is a chemical engineer. I remember he made a comment that the Kalkwasser is a really naughty chemical, and he usually just do food get-ups if he works with Kalkwasser, just in case, because it's not a safe chemical to really work with. So just to be 100% safe, food get-ups. And you notice I picked the spot where the wind is blowing. Well, it's supposed to blow the other way anyways. All right, here we go. Check out these fancy bucket. You push this and then it opens up, and then you kind of rotate until it stops clicking. Really fancy. Thank you, Telegram. And of course, if you need different storage solution for the Kalkwasser as well, it definitely also adds to the cost versus the other ready-made ones for aquarium. They usually come in smaller Ziploc pouch, which makes sense for use. But for my case, 100 bucks, 2 big bucket of these, can't really complain. So now the only question is, would it work as well for me compared to the other brands I was using, which is once again BLS, which I loved. It just price went up. Once again, I just have to reiterate that I did not try this particular brand in my tank yet. I am starting. But if you want to do your own research and you want to take your own risks, be my guest. I feel like it's a safe bet, but if you want to be a little bit more cautious, wait for me to use it for like half a year or something and see how it actually compares to the previous ones that I'm using, and then you can make the judgment then. But for now, I do feel that it is a great way to save a little money, assuming you're using Kalkwasser in your reef tank, and of course, assuming that it works as advertised by other reefers.
Yum, yum, yum. Eat the fishy.
Hey lady, why don't you get your peasant-looking dog away from a fish tank? It's really tough to keep the glass clean, you know?
Hey, why don't you show some respect, Gam Yulong? He's Lord Kowloon.
What do you mean, Lord Kowloon? What's this? Established Tidal is a fun and novel way to help preserve the natural woodsland of Scotland, as well as helping the global reforestation efforts. It is based on a historic Scottish custom where a landowner is referred to as lairds, or lord or ladies in English. Now here's the fun part. With the Tidal packs, it gives you more than 1 square foot of land in a private estate in Eddleston, Scotland, that has a unique plot number that is assigned to you. And with it, you will also get a certificate like this with the official crest or logo and seal, and it got the proclamation that you are now either a lord or lady. Established Tidal also plant a tree with every order and work with the global charities One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future to support global reforestation efforts. After this is done, you can officially include the title Lord or Lady on like your credit card, your plane tickets, your dating profile, which will be awesome actually. This makes an amazing last minute gift. Established Tidal is actually running a massive Black Friday sale right now. Plus, if you use the code Inappropriate Reefer, you get an additional 10% off. Go to establishedtitles.com/inappropriate reefer to get your gifts now and help support the channel. The first 200 people purchasing a title pack using my link will effectively be next to my plot. Within a few minutes of walking distance, well, technically it would be Kowloon's plot, but same family. Depending on how many of you want to be lord or lady, I guess it would be kind of cool to have our own little inappropriate reefer kingdom over there, huh? Thanks again to our sponsor, Established Title, and with that said, let's get back to the video.
2521, a blue ticket.
So close. By the way, raffle time. It gets in there.
2525, blue one. You got it?
Hey man,
Next,
I want to show you something.
By Nikki, our speaker today.
Congratulations. Here we have the happy people that won the Max Packed Coral Fragging Kits and Grabbers. I'm bitter. Round 2.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to draw a ticket from it, and that will define, group 1. And I'll have you come in and line up, fight amongst yourself, position in line.
Sunkist.
If we got a bounce mushroom.
Those
Congratulations.
split by themselves. Right?
Another
like different
freebies.
spots.
My goodness.
I could probably make
that
a
is
couple
nice.
frag up.
We haven't seen this man in a while. The myth, the legend, DC Reefer Warren. How are you doing?
What's going on, man? It look like Green Star Pilot, Monty, Toadstool Leather. Lily is in here. Green Slimer.
That looks nice, even under white lights.
Yeah, it looks good.
It's beautiful.
I got a gold torch from land. I got a mandarin, so I had to get some pots for the mandarin.
Oh, that's cool. That's a new one that she's breeding, right?
Yeah.
He
So
picks
his
pigs.
mandarin would be happy. Got that in the phytos.
Alright, so the WAMAS Reef Club is about to wrap up. I got lots of nice goodies. And look at this, right back there, people are lining up for the free frag. So this is amazing, and this happens like once a year. And unfortunately, I did not get a chance to get too much footage, but I think you get the gist of it. Basically, it's a fantastic reef club, and if you're local to DC, Maryland, Virginia area, highly recommend it. And once I get home, we can go over to see what I won in the raffles and what I picked up as freebies. I guess they have had in-person meeting once already before this, but I was not here because of course we have the second kid coming along. Oh boy, I can hear them. I can hear them from here. I can hear Nina crying. Mom, how was the Reef Club meeting?
Fun, so fun.
So fun. She was on mom duty. So basically after we went in, the kids are a little bit fuzzy, so we came out, grabbed lunch, and then this little girl was crying nonstop.
Left us behind.
I totally
Three
just
of us.
kind of left them. I was just like, all right, peace out. Gave her the key. I just ran in, did the raffles, did the frag swap, and just hung out. And so it's
You
it's
still
all
owe
up.
me a birthday dinner. Mr. Chow.
All right, here's my super messy trunk. Real quick, let's just go over what we picked up. First of all, everybody who attended the meeting got a really nice, I think it's 1 ounce bottle of Aphantasia. Sadly, I recently purchased some, but it's okay to get more on hand because dang those Aphtasias. Secondly, we also got a free ICP analysis, ICP test. I never used it before, so I'm really interested in trying it out. Thank you. And then I entered the raffle, and I put in 20 bucks, put in a couple things. I got a lot of hits for the Chemi Pure Blue Nano. There's a bunch of them in there. I actually won, I think, like 3 times or something like that. But I just I followed the lead of somebody else because somebody else also won a lot of stuff at the same kind of price. So it's just like, I'll just take one. So I just took one. Inside the Reef Squad box, I got this really nice SPS from a trade of a golden rod from Eduardo. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right. So thank you so much for the generosity. Uh-oh, baby's crying. I'll be really quick. We also got a really nice 2 heads hammer, really generous size. And also, I don't know what this is. Could be Red Dragon. It was really nice size chunk, so I really appreciate it. This is from one of the free frags. And it got to be so much that I just like kind of paused on the free frag and just start hanging out with members and chat instead. Overall, fantastic events. Thank you so much for everybody who put in place and also the sponsor for providing all these things. Speaking quick, because as you can hear in the background, baby's crying, gotta go. Check with you guys once we get home. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the second product I used to do a little budget reefing because things are more expensive these days, if you have not noticed, and I try to cut costs wherever I could. The second consumable media that I use a lot of is CO2 scrubbing media. This particular unit is the Ice Cap CO2 Scrubber. This is a size large and it is hooked up to the skimmer to do recirculating CO2 scrubbing, and with that, the media lasts a little bit longer, but even so, it only lasts me about a month and a half, and at most, I I can push it 2 months before the media is completely exhausted and I need new ones. CO2 scrubbing media is pricey until I found this particular alternative that quite a few people actually use. So this particular soda lime is from Shopmedvet, and this has been recommended by a lot of people. I have used this for almost a year plus. So this one I can totally stand behind, not like the Kalkwasser that I have not tried it yet. This is tried and true for me. So this I have been using. I've seen really good results. The color does change like here, because some of the complaints about some of the other media is that maybe the color does not change even though it's color changing. This one does change, and it comes in a really nice 5-gallon jug like this, and this lasts me a long time and costs $121 shipped. So I'm not going to go too deep into CO2 scrubbing because that's a whole different science there, and there's a lot of videos being made of it already. If you're interested, I can totally do a video of it down the road. But in terms of the consumable media, the cost is high. But with this, with $121, you get a big jug like this that'll last you for a long time. I think that makes CO2 scrubbing totally more affordable. And this is my number 2 recommendation in terms of a budget alternative for reef consumable media. Our reefing buddies, tank addict, Mr. Daniel. He is taking a retirement from the hobby, at least for now. Now that he doesn't have as much time, he started a new business and things are blooming. So things are going really well for him. So me and Jim went by, helped, well, I did not make there in time. Basically, Jim just helped him tear down a system, and he did give me all these guys. This is like almost 2 years ago. I gave him a piece of Jawbreaker, and it has been doing really well in his tank. And as you can see, all of these guys is like, oh, why don't you take these? And when I get back in the hobby again, just hook me up with another piece of mature Jawbreaker like you did before. So I'm gonna take all these, and there's also a little bit of a sun-kissed bounce. I think like 3 of them, which came at a really good time because the ones I got, I did something, and I totally bleached out. And I think it was when I was kind of tweaking the radions. I bump it up 1%, I up the flow, and I think it just pushed some of the mushrooms over the limits. For example, like the OG bounce still okay, that one is kind of pissed off. These just kind of expelled all the symbiotic algae and just bleached. But the interesting thing is that used to be a tiny piece when this happened. I was kind of worried, but this actually just carried on as if nothing happened and started growing. So maybe something else, I'm not sure, but the fact that certain mushrooms are still doing good in this tank kind of makes me feel like, okay, tank should be okay, just something happened. Either the light spiked or something else happened. And also, these are the Jawbreakers that I have. That is actually the original piece, the one in the back. But all the Jawbreaker seems to be doing okay, and I see some of the mushroom that detached and floated to the back actually looks okay. So there's only the ones up here that's kind of like under the light that was really pissed off. So I feel like mushroom-wise, tank is probably still okay. I just light shocked them. So that's why I'm kind of confident in taking these guys into. And I plan to just hold it for him for when he get back in the hobby. I can just give the whole rock back to him, and hopefully between now and then he'll produce some nice babies, because these are really beautiful. Look at the size of these guys. These are big. And I'm thinking about moving the firework cloves into the mangrove tank, 17-gallon mangrove tank, and just put this piece of rock right there. So this corner can be the Jawbreaker Valley, if you will. All right, here we go. The trick is make sure this rock does not bump into anything on the way up. Oh, that's gonna be tricky. Look at this. All right, the trick is to make sure this does not hit anything on the way up. Good Lord. Okay, there we go. Oh, this is heavy out of the water. All right, I need the other hand. Hold on. All right, so here it is. 5 cloves. And before I drop the other Jawbreaker rock in there, I want to go in with a tweezer just to clean. Oh, look at these! I didn't even know I have mushrooms back there. There we go, just cleaning up some zinnias and firework cloves. I think like in the past, I'm just using simple corals to kind of fill in the gap, to fill in the space. For example, encrusting around the porous, zinnias, cloves to kind of fill in the gap. But those, now that I look back, it's probably something that I wish I kept them isolated on different islands, and then make sure those islands is not something that's a little bit too close to the main structure because that's what I'm seeing right now. Even though they're on a separate island, they kind of skipped the rock and somehow made it over to some of the main structure. And that's why you find me kind of plucking things out right now and doing some damage control. So moving back to maybe a year ago, I wish I was a little bit more patient in terms of filling between the gap. Don't use these more aggressive, harder to control corals, and just wait it out. Just wait it out a little bit, or maybe use LPS like frog spawn and stuff, so I don't have a situation like this where I'm trying to and failing to plug some of these encrusters off the rock. So I think I'm ready. Let's get the show on the road. Get that big rock from Daniel and create that Jawbreaker Valley. So excited. Look at this guy. Oh my gosh. All right, once again, just sticking to our nice gold theme, I'm gonna use my favorite yellow gloves that matches the Jawbreaker coloration. I totally did this on purpose.
How much did they pay you?
I bought this. I found this. I was like, could we use this? You know, these gloves are actually for, you know, people stick their hand into cow's butt to clean things out a little bit. This is what these are.
Is that why you bought this?
I bought this because this actually
Because you have a cow at home.
I do have a cow at home that's holding camera for me. She walked into that one. But anyways, these has been working really well. It's like 20 bucks and it lasts me for a long time. As long as I don't get water into the gloves from the top. You hear me talking about these gloves like every other video because I really love them. Anyways, enough of that. Oh, if you're interested, link in the video. All right, here, check this out. So once again, huge shout out to our boy, Daniel. Look at this guy. This is a nice rock. We're gonna create a valley. And then we got, looks like it got another piece of, that's a nice rock too. And then we got a couple pieces. Oh dude, look at this. This one actually has green already. So usually this Jawbreaker in general, I think like typically is pretty much all gold first year or so. You start seeing some red like this one after the first year. And then when green comes in, that's usually by year 3, 2.5 or 3 years. So this one has some age. Maybe this is the original that I got him a long time ago. And then if you're really lucky and got a special strand of Jawbreaker, which I'm not sure if these are, you get purple. And that's when the price of these just skyrocketed. And in terms of pricing, at least locally, like a dime size one, this is larger. This is all retracted, but the dime size one goes for about $70 or $80. Nickel size, maybe 100. Quarter size jumps up to 150, 200. So these hold the value really well. But for me, I just like how easy they are. They are just straight up regular mushrooms. And I just love how they look. I love that they propagate themselves really easily. I don't have to go in and cut. So what I'm doing right now, I just kind of like rotate the rock a little bit. I like to release as much of the bubble trap in the rock as I can. Not that there's any scientific reason behind it, but I just like doing it. Let me just tell you, this tank I believe is 30 inches in height. My arm can reach all the way to the bottom.
No, you can't.
That means I am a decent height. Don't show the foot. Don't show the stool. Stop it. Okay, all right. Let's get the other big piece in. Kowloon agrees. Oh, this is the special piece too. Look, Daniel did mention that there's a 3 sun-kissed bounce. And like I mentioned before, this came in a really good time.
Wait.
Here.
睇下咩事先
Okay. What? You can,
Good parent.
Camera person, please.
Because I'm a good parent.
20 minutes later.
Alright, so we paused real quick because we have some solicitation for solar panels on our roof. We have some, actually quite a few. Take a look here. We have quite a few loose mushrooms of a really decent size. And I think these are Jawbreaker mushrooms. Look at how orange they are. They look beautiful, right?
Yeah.
We'll just drop them in the valley, hoping that they'll attach some rock and pebbles so they'll be easier to give out. Here, let's sink them in there. The only thing is we gotta, oh sure, it looks like that one's already attached to some gravels based on the speed it flows down. And this one, no, not to the pectinia. Okay, here's where the turkey baster come in handy. You suck on it, and you just kind of drop them where you want. I think what I'll do is actually pull out the mushroom cage that I have.
Are you okay?
There's one more, Daddy, look.
Okay, we'll get them. This is a coral cage or shroom cage from PNW Custom. And what I'm gonna do is gonna line the bottom with these little flat frag plug. Ideally I use a square one and line it perfectly, but you know, for now let me just try this. This is like the lowest level of efforts And then we're just gonna sprinkle the mushrooms in there, and we'll hope that some of them will attach, and then we'll try it. Otherwise, I'm gonna grab some sand, dump it in the base, and then drop the mushroom on top, and hopefully the mushroom will attach to the sand. I wonder if I could use this. I feel like I can use this.
What are you doing, Leon?
Maybe I'll use this. Actually, hold on. Let's pause that. These towels from Ocean Wonders, same place I got my frag plug, and these are these are easy to cut.
Kellen, come here.
Why are you cutting?
Oh,
Silly.
seriously,
Daddy.
silly.
Leon, if mommy disappear, you know who did it.
Daddy.
Where'd you learn that?
He got a big bucket, got all the tools. Oh, look at those.
I do have acids.
know what
and
those-
reagents. Kalu, leave it.
And Daddy's nickname is Jeffy.
Look at that, Mommy.
Aww,
I made that.
so cool.
Another circle.
Aww, is that a building?
Yeah.
Hey, there we go. Perfect. Look at that. With my luck, all the mushrooms gonna pile in this little corner where I don't have any rock. But let's go ahead, give it a little soak so that they don't bubble out, and get all of these mushrooms in there. We don't need those, Neon, so we should be okay.
Well, we should be okay.
Okay, let's get some mushrooms. Wash my hand. Kalu.
If you think his video is too long, comment below.
Where's the mushroom go?
All right, buddy, let's do this. You have a lot, dude. Daniel, what have you been feeding these mushrooms?
Making babies.
Seriously. Look at this, number 2.
2 baby mushrooms.
Let's count how many we have total, okay? Yeah, back up a little bit, make sure it doesn't splash you.
Is that 3?
Look at this guy, little baby. 7 and 8.
Oh, I've been waiting for this moment.
Joke's on you, I think some of those guys actually love feet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Look at my toes. Oh, sorry.
Okay. Oh, look at this, another 2 in there.
Why are you using your hands?
Some of them are too small to use the turkey baster on. Oh, that one is about to float out. Look at the tiny, tiny little guy. It's not settling. We gotta make sure it doesn't come up. Let me double check.
1,000 years later.
I'll use this guy right here. Blue
Wait,
light.
唔好射人我隻眼啊
I think that may be it.
1,000. 誒
Hey, Jello,
Hey?
做咩啊？
Hey,
做咩啊？
you dropped something.
What?
The water on my feet.
Oh. Okay, next, let me pick up some of the other loose mushroom and just chuck it in there as well.
Why not going in there?
Trying. Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
It's too light, so I think it's gonna float away. Guy in there.
Where's the flashlight?
This is a big mama.
1,000 years later.
1,000 years later, we got it situated. Look at this. I feel like at this point, the mushroom box is a little bit overpopulated, but we're gonna give it a little time. I may move some of the larger ones out. And because some of them are attached to some pebbles, I can just kind of super glue them. We'll see how it goes. We got this situation. We got that situation. But I think right now we're about to take Kowloon out for a little bit. So we're going to just leave them. I'm going to cap it, leave them here for now, and just let them settle in. And then we'll address them in a few days. Yeah, so family time. Yay. This is the third and final tips in terms of budget reef consumable. That's a mouthful. I'll keep this one short and sweet because you've sat through a long video and I know you're tired, you just want information. This information is once again came from my Reef Sensei Telegram. He is a wealth of budget reefing information and I just thought more people should learn about this. And for more details, be sure to go over to his video where he talk about it. I'll link it in either the card and also in the video description below. Now, once in a while, the consumption of nutrients in my reef tank goes through the roof and I'll start hitting like 0 phosphate and 0 nitrate. And these days, we all know that that's not a good place to be. That's when dinos and stuff's gonna come pop up. That's when I look into dosing nitrate as well as phosphate. Dosing phosphate is a little bit more complicated in terms of making a DIY solution because phosphate, there are many different forms and it's not all created the same. Andre, the master of trace elements of the Roof Moonshiner method, actually went into details on the complication of coming up with a DIY phosphate dosing method. Specifically, you should be dosing phosphorus. I think that's what coral uses, not so much just like a general phosphate. So there are a lot of like little details that need to be addressed. However, nitrate is much more simple, much more straightforward, and completely something easy and safe to DIY yourself. In my recent Sensei's DIY nitrate recipe, he is using his sodium nitrates from Loudwolf specifically. The price is really cheap, at least if you can find it online. The problem is sometimes they go out of stock, sometimes come into stock. They don't stock a lot of it simply because this can also be used to make certain explosive. I don't know anything about it, that's what I hear. So you may have to do a little search around in order to find this particular brand, or there may be alternatives out there. And the recipe is this: 1 liter of RODI water to 44.2 gram of sodium nitrate. And with that consistency, you can actually use the calculator that in the video description below. If you want more details, go to Telegram's video. You can kind of input it and it will kind of give you a general idea of how much you should dose in order to raise the nitrate to a certain amount. And from what I understand, this concentration is somewhat comparable to a pretty popular brand out there as well. And in terms of cost, the cost of 2 liter of a more popular brand of nitrate dosing is about $25–30, where the same 2 liter with a DIY solution costs you about $6.25. Assuming you can buy a 113 gram Loudwolf sodium nitrate at $7.99, and of course the price may fluctuate, it may differ, but that kind of gives you an idea of the amount of saving you could do, especially if your reef tank consumes a lot of nitrate. And once again, the nitrate dosing solution is really straightforward to mix. There's no reason you should not DIY it. I've not seen anybody like just go way off and just destroy the tank. So sodium nitrate or potassium nitrate is some of the popular means of creating this DIY nitrate dosing. However, potassium, of course, acidose it. If you don't test it, it may creep up and you don't know. But sodium, because I assume you check your salinity level, that you'll probably catch it, and it's easier to kind of dilute down if your tank's a little bit too salty. But as always, as with all DIY solution, if you're not sure, just buy something that's pre-mixed for the aquarium. Totally fine, but if you're comfortable doing it, do a little more research online, make sure you're completely comfortable doing it, and then just go for it. But in this particular case, I have used this multiple times in my tank and everything turns out just fine. Hope this helps save some money for the big holidays ahead. And once again, thank you to Telegram and all the pioneers of budget reefing out on the interwebs for dropping all these awesome money-saving tips. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that about wraps up this month's update. Man, has it been a month already? But let's really quickly take a look at the corals that we picked up during the WAMAS meeting earlier. That is the coral I traded a goldenrod for. That looks fantastic, nice chunky piece with polyps extending already. So once again, thank you so much. The second piece I picked up, that is legit from the free frag swap, is this guy right here. This is a multi-branch, looks like a, would you say is a hammer or frammer? I'm not 100% sure, but it's doing well. And the last and final piece is this guy right here, this mysterious SPS. I suspect it's Red Dragon. As soon as it entered the tank, it turned bleach white. So I was like, oh, I don't know. But after about a week and a half in, I start seeing, it's kind of hard to see from here, but I started seeing these fluorescent green tips showing up. I have not really seen polyp yet, but the fact that the green tip is showing up and the skin is slowly turning a little bit more brown, that gives me hope that there is life. At first I was getting ready to toss it out, I was like, oh man, not looking good. But I kept remembering people are saying that even if the SPS look bleach, completely white, as long as no algae is growing on the skin yet, that means that there may still be tissue, and just give it some time. And sure enough, I think that is paying off. I'm starting to see a little color tip and a little color returning. So as soon as that's acclimated, I'm gonna move it to a much more suitable location for that right there. And you'll see that I actually upgraded the mushroom box from the small one. I actually bought a larger one for PNW Custom because I thought they do such a great job and I need a little bit more real estate. But we can talk a little bit more about this in the future updates. And I managed to break off some pieces of this guy right here. Orange or red Montipora cap, probably red Montipora cap, because growing in the front front glass, and there was 2 aptasias I could not get to. So I was able to scrape it off, poured actually 3 pieces of small frags, and then took care of the aptasias. Now, one thing that I'm noticing that's a big issue is that the Euphyllias, the frog spawn hammer in the back, not doing well. And it kind of coincides with the reintroduction of the aptasia eating foul fish. Where did this guy go? There he is. It coincides, but we'll go a little bit more in depth because I actually document the whole process of like when I put this fish in, how the tank looks, and then how the corals look at the time versus now. It's just been about a week, and then something is bothering that Euphyllia garden back there. It's either the foul fish or the clowns. The clowns have been aggressively living it up in the garden. So I think one of those guys may be the culprits. But we'll give it some time and we'll let the story develop, and I'll get you guys updated. The other sad thing that happened to this tank, it's purple tang. Pretty sure it's gone at this point. I have not seen him for about a week, and that just for wrasse, yes, but for tang, that just not good. I'll say about 2 weeks ago, I noticed that purple tang was shaggier than normal. Have torn fins. I mean, tangs sometimes they fight each other, right? But in this particular case, it was torn fin. It was really, the stomach is not full or swollen like these guys. It's like a little bit sunken. I was like, okay, something is going on, and I decided that night I'm gonna pull him and maybe have him live in the refugium or even rehome him. However, that night is a night that I started not seeing him anymore, and he just disappeared. And I'm sure it probably perished somewhere in the tank, and the cleanup crew probably polished off the body. So I'm unfortunately have to say that the purple tank's probably gone, and that's actually one of the kind of rare fish that I've lost in this tank. This tank has been doing quite decent in terms of like keeping fish alive and well. So that's really unfortunate. Sad. I'm not going to replace him. I feel like there's definitely 3 potential big tanks. Definitely too much personality for this tank. If anything, I'll probably pick up a fish to help with scraping off algae off the rock, because I got 2 types of tanks that kind of pick at algae, but none that's kind of has like a bristle teeth or bristle mouth that kind of like scrape at rocks. So I'm thinking about maybe a smaller tank like a Tomino's tank, or maybe just an algae blenny, right? Just to keep the bow load low as well, especially since some of these fish are getting a little bit on the larger side now. But anyways, that's a future developing story with this tank. If you enjoy video content like this, where it follows my reef hobbyist journey to kind of better myself, as well as my skills in reef keeping, also where I love to share some of the tip and trick that I picked up, be sure to follow along by subscribing, hit that like button, leave a comment on what kind of content you want to see next. I actually have some really interesting things and really exciting things coming up for the next at least 1 or 2 or 3. Just put it on a lot of different videos. If you're interested, just hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Be well until then. We got a really special visitor today. It's been a long time since I have somebody down here, so it's really cool.
I haven't been in this basement since, it was certainly pre-COVID.